Be'ezer Hashem Parshas Vo'era Tovshin Peivov. The Gemara says that the Ovos HaKadoshim kept the Torah, they kept the Taryag mitzvahs before Kabbalas HaTorah. Not only did the Reises, just even the additions that the Chachamim added, Afilu Erev Tavshilin, the halacha that if Shabbos is next to Yontif, we take an egg and a matzah, and that allows us to cook the second day Yontif, if Yontif comes out on Friday, to cook for Shabbos. All these details, everything the Chachamim kept, the Ovos HaKadosh, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they did all of that. So the question is, how did they know the Kol HaTorah Kula to be able to keep it? The Eibishter gave us the Torah in Bar Sinai and told us, Moshe Rabbeinu sat with Klal Yisrael and explained it. Kishulchan Aruch, Parshas and Shvatim. This is a mitzvah and this is a mitzvah. Hundreds of mitzvahs, thousands of details. And the Ovos HaKadoshim kept it. When and how did they get to know and learn all the mitzvahs of the Torah? Zog the Bitachon and Kedushas Levi, that the Ovos HaKadoshim were so elevated, they were so mezuchach, how do you say that? Purified, refined, that they were able to understand on their own what Hashem wants. They felt it. It was natural to them. And one of the examples the Bitachon gives is like a child, a baby that's born right away, day one, knows that it could get food from the mother. Maybe we can add, knows to cry, an instinct. Crying is a form of communication. What are you trying to say? The answer is, I could express myself that I'm uncomfortable. It's like telling it to someone. How does the baby know? It was just born. The answer is that there's a certain instinct that the person just knows. The Ovos HaKadoshim were so purified that they were able to feel that this is right and this is wrong. This is what's supposed to be. As is the Kedushas Levi. Now for us, it's a little bit hard to comprehend. How does that work? That a person wakes up in the morning and says, I believe that Hashem definitely wants me to take a lulav and an esrik and a hadas and a rova and go like this. How does that? Why would you? How would a neshama get to that, to chap, that this is what's supposed to be done? There's so many such type of mitzvahs that it's very, very hard for us to chap. How's it possible when Metzias to figure it out on your own? Erev Tavshilin. So, in order to understand this a little bit better, it's important to look out in different areas. It could help us get the grip to understand it a little bit better. What's usually the system in place, the ta'alich, the process of a person knowing something on their own, figuring it out just because they just felt it, that intuition, deep intuition, this is what it's supposed to be. I feel that this is how you're supposed to do it. Now we know that it's around very, very stark, this nakuda that people have intuition to different areas, different people and different nakudas and different chokhmah. The question is, what's the process? How do they get to it that they have such a deep understanding that nobody told them and they really, really know, and it doesn't say anywhere, but they just figured it out? It's really fascinating. But let's look at different areas and try to analyze it. Let's take a simple example of chinuch. Someone that's a very starker mechanech, that's a mechanech for many years. You could have a kid or a teenager that presents a question challenges you with a question that you never prepared for that question. And it's not only knowledge, there's a lot of depth and emotion, and they really challenge you with that question. You weren't taught, you never learned, you didn't take a course to know how to handle this specific case. And sometimes we look back and we say, wow, that was like a Ruach HaKodesh answer. How did I know how to answer that? Ich weiß nicht, I don't know. Hashem put it into my mouth, Hashem put it into my head. What's pshat? Sometimes you have little bochrum, they watch the Maggid Shir. How does the Maggid Shir know all these answers? Does everybody understand the Gemara? So you have one boy raises a hand, that's this question, that question. A little smart boy is sitting there and thinking, how did he know what Moshe is going to ask? And what's the emes? The emes is that he didn't know, he had no idea. But he knows it. He really has it. And it doesn't make a difference from which angle you're going to ask and challenge. He knows the answer. But then it goes to even a higher level, or besser gesagt, a deeper level, which is even harder to understand how it works. People compose Nigunim. We're talking about when Nigunim were Niggun, when people were people, and unbelievable compositions. Bam is deep and fascinating. Now, someone that enjoys it and has a shtickle gefühl and understanding, but doesn't have this yichudus of composing. Composing is a very, very small percentage of the population. Understanding and appreciating a niggun is a much wider population, much wider. Yet he's sitting there and thinking, what does he do when he wants to compose a niggun? He sits there and he just tries all the keys in the keyboard. What's the shot? And the answer is no. The answer is he was in a moment of hashra'ah, they call it. I don't know how you say that word. Yeah. He was inspired in a certain way. He was under the roshim of something. And it came out, I don't know. He thought of this tune. Many times, they say, Moshe Goldman, which composed an enormous amount of Nigunim. So he once forgot. He forgot and he drove back. He was up on the way up to the mountains. He drove back to the spot where he was, and they got him back. He was able to remember. The nefesh was able to remember. How does that work? Then you have it, the marshal in cooking and baking. The people that are really b'mehusa, they're a chef. They don't follow protocol. They don't go. There's chiddush. And that chiddush doesn't work with, okay, let's see what's going to happen if I mix this and that. It's more that they feel that this could work. Then they have to remind themselves what they did many times, because it didn't work technical. It worked with it's a feeling to something. When we get to art, there's a musik of intuition, of understanding, of giluyim that a person has, which they didn't learn. So this concept, which is out there in today's generation, could help us understand. It could be an example for us. It could be a moshel of what does it mean that the Avos HaKadoshim just knew. They had that deep understanding and feeling that this is what is supposed to be done. And what is that? So, I don't know the exact definition of the word intuition, but it's a deep havana, it's a deep understanding that you're not connecting to something externally, just as from the inside of a person just knows it. And when a person is connected to something with the whole essence, then what happens is there's a certain chibur between the chokhmah and the person, and like any other chibur, there's always going to be a toiloda. There's going to be something new that's born. A new result. When you take two minds and we brainstorm together, everybody is coming from their angle, usually we'll come up with something new. Something brand new.
I can't remember where I saw something about the Chasam Sofer said that a person, when he's asked the Shaila, he has an intuition before he looks inspiring and such. He has an intuition.
From the Torah, from when the Eibusha gives us Yata the Shemaya, when a person asks a posek a Shaila, even before he looked it up, there's an intuition. What's the answer? Lemaisa, your name. Then he has to check up to see if it's accurate, if it's true. What's the Maramokim? Oh, so what is that? In the Memches Kinyonei HaTorah, in Pirkei Avos, it says Kinyonim. One of the signs that a person really understood Torah is that the person is Shemeya or Mosif. That you heard, and you had something to add. You could explain it in a new way. You have a different sefer which could stim very much with what was just said. Because if it stayed dry, sometimes you have a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old that just repeating what the Magachir said, has no idea. You ask him one question from the other side, they're totally lost. Because they're saying it, but it's not like they really understand it. Every time a person really gets a deep understanding of a topic, they'll add something automatically because it touches you, and then there's something new. The Chochmah and your Moyach came together, and it created a new Avon. Now back to these examples that we gave. So you have someone that enjoys, or he's amazing in singing, in composing music. Then you have someone that's a cook, he's a chef. So if you would want to mix them, if you want to say, okay, we take the chef and we say, why don't you have it in the music? He says, no, sorry, you have the wrong address. You can talk to me about food. I don't enjoy, I don't connect. It's just not me. And so the world is built with all people that have different kinds of personalities and connect to different parts of Chochmah from the Bria. And that's what they usually get a job. Rabbi Zalova says you should try to get something that you really enjoy. And that's where they thrive. That's where they are in life. That's if we relate to these Chochmas as different talents that are there in the world, or different personality types that have all these books and ways of cutting it, and categorizing. But if we go to the Hashkafa from the Torah, the real Chochmah means the Chochmah of the Torah, real Midos. Every person has it all inside. That means that let's say there's a person he's not so social. It's not a strong point. He's Baruch Hashem a good head, but social skills it's not his zach. So again, in the beginning of life, beginning could mean pretty deep in, but they could try to give zechanei to them. Means they could try to get, let's say, their parnasa from places that they don't need. They don't have to work with people. They're more to the quiet side, back office. They don't need all the hoo-ha. They need their yishuv hadas. But al pi Torah, being that so many mitzvahs is ben adam l'chaber is involved, social, to be able to be socially correct, is part of being a yid. If it's to feel yerem's tsar, if it's to be mechazik, so that person needs to work on that area to try to get it. If it was from 1 to 10, if it was 3, to get it to 4 to 5. Different people were born that they have it. But the person that wasn't born that this is their easy field, they can't say, this is not my zach, because it ends up interfering in their simple avodas Hashem. So of course the form tzara agra, and they need to work harder, but it's a certain shleimus and certain avodah that they should be able to get there. Aber this intuition in the area, even in the area where you're not good at, is written on your neshama. The nefesh knows it. Even in the areas where you don't see it. It means if we take a child that's super talented in one area and just knows it, just has it, just figures it out, you never have to give them instructions. We would understand that it must be that the neshama just knows. Look, it's a fact. But in a different area where the kid is not so good, then we say, no, the neshama doesn't know this. The malach went out for lunch when it came to this topic. Didn't learn with the child. I promise you, look, does it wrong. Just doesn't get it. There's many times we spent money and time and energy to save the child. The kid just doesn't have it. Okay, we'll get him such a type of a shidduch. It doesn't work like that. It's emes that's the experience that we have. It's emes. But if we want to learn and understand that if it's negeya for Torah, somewhere deep down there is inside the neshama intuition to call a Torah kula. Every person has parts of Torah, which is like one little kisui and one little covering, and it comes out and it just shines. And different areas in Torah, it's really complicated, it's really tough. We don't feel that they're ever going to have the feeling towards it. Let's take davening as an example. Some people are very warm or warm people. They love it. They enjoy it. Technical things are not for them. Building the sukkah, they usually get two bochum to build the sukkah and to pick the lulav because they like to daven. Then you have people that are exact opposite. The pshat is that's when they're alive. They build the sukkah. It's a nest. They have a mitzvah building the sukkah. But davening, they could make sure to bring a siddur for every person that comes to the shul. They prepare the coffee. They make sure to tell the chazan if it's tachnun today or not. But this warmkeit, they just don't have it. So, at me sagen that the neshama doesn't know. Neshama does know. It's just that you have to work harder to get to that place that it should come out. It should be nizgala, it should reveal, it should be able to come out of the neshama, and then a person could reach understanding and chidushim from within. Mamish, the neshama is going to teach you. Telamdeka, the neshama is going to teach you, but it takes time to take off all these coverings from this area in Torah where the person is not good. They don't have it easy there. But with Yegiya, that means when a person tries and works and davens, it's going to come out. And it also includes being mechanech. People are born that they look like they're good mechanechim. It doesn't mean if someone's in the outside, it doesn't mean in the inside, because it's a lot of deep work with ourselves to be strong and to be warm and to be consistent and to be able to give constructive criticism. It's so much deep nefesh that it's a lot of avodah. But a person has to get to a place that they bring out their havana that the neshama knows. The neshama knows it's supposed to do this. Now back to the topic we started with. Torah u'mitzvahs, the Ovas HaKadoshim u'makayim kol HaTorah kula, and they just knew it. The shortage of mitzvahs, all mitzvahs, is from a strong yashas, a straightforward, a good nefesh and neshama. That's the shortage of ganzet kol HaTorah kula. Many mitzvahs we could see on our own, we could chap what's the connection. For example, Akoros HaToiv. So many mitzvahs revolve around being Makar Toiv. That's emes. That's Yosher. It's supposed to be like that. It's just a person has to get to a place that they start feeling that they want to live like that. Many people, at young age, they're struggling so hard, they're so reingelegt, they're so emotionally distracted with their needs that they don't want to now see what's right. Please don't bother me with what's right. I'm fighting to be able to be successful. I'm fighting for my name. I'm fighting to be financially stable. And they can't think about, I want to be a good person. But every person would be able to put all the noise, all the background noise, we would be able to put on a lower volume, and we would listen to our neshama. A person would get to very, very deep places of understanding what's right and what's wrong. Choyves halavavos means the choyv of the leiv. We're supposed to serve Hashem with our heart, but the heart would know. It's the same way that people know what rachmonos is. Have mercy, chav rachmonos. It's natural. A lot of mitzvahs is connected to that. We would also get to a place that we don't want to waste time because it's wrong to waste time. It would come from the inside. It would make sense. It would be so simple that trusting the Rebbeinu Shalom is natural how it's supposed to go. There's a fascinating Sefer Ikrim in, I think it's Perek Revi, Maimar Revi, Perek Memvov. He shows that many times the Psukim mention Busha as the opposite of Bitachon. Very interesting. B'cho botchu v'lo yivoishu. B'cho batachti alei voishu. Who's v'lo neivish within davening? B'cho batochnu. Many times it works like that. Now it sounds like two separate topics that have no shaykhs. Embarrassment and trusting. What was the shaykhs? Zog the Sefer Ikrim, something so profound, so poshel also. He says, you know what's embarrassing? When a person does something that the person knows that that's wrong, it doesn't make any sense. They're embarrassed from themselves. When a person has trust in something else besides Hashem, it's embarrassing for themselves because it's so nished. They're embarrassed from that bitachon, he says. Imagine if someone comes to you and says, someone just emptied my bank account. So how did he empty your bank account? Oh, he asked me yesterday for my information and for my credit card, for my social, and I gave it to him, and then he's gone. I called him. He told me he needs it for something. I said, you gave it to him? He says, yeah, why? Really? Why would you do that? Why? Then a person chaps afterwards what happened. They're embarrassed of the b'chisas hanefesh. They're embarrassed of something that's, what was I thinking? Why did I trust him? It was so wrong. It was so not normal to do that. When a person trusts in the person that created, the person that runs the koyach and the Rebbeinu Shalom that runs the world, that created the world, that's being mechai the world, you'll never be embarrassed that you trusted Hashem. Because it's so straight, it's so normal, it's so yash, that's how it's supposed to be. Bitachon is something that's supposed to be looked at not as a sgula. It's supposed to be looked at a normal person that wants to be stable in their emotions. The same way a person would be embarrassed from losing their temper in public. Why are they embarrassed? They're embarrassed because it's not the way I'm supposed to act. And people that they lose their dignity could do something that's very, very wrong and not even be embarrassed, and then people would say, Mele, he lied to me. Okay, he had a shvacha moment, and I can understand, but he doesn't even get red. He has no problem with it. That's like really a shvacha nefesh. It's far from truth. It's so far from having a matzpun, a conscience of wanting to be a good person, a human being that's righteous, that's the way a person is supposed to act. If a person wants to get to that place, then more and more mitzvahs, they would get to it from a place that this is what's right. This is the richtige Zach. Now, of course, there's levels. Because even if we understand that taking Hashem's tzemeach, plans and Sachen that grow and chapping that Hashem is being mechai, making it happen, and thanking Hashem for it. I wouldn't figure out maybe that it's a dafke esek and lulav, but I could understand why this part of the year I would want to come to the Rebbeinu Shalom in Chag HaOsif and thank Hashem usmachtem and say halal. I wouldn't get to the details maybe. I also wouldn't know that it would be Aleph Tishrei, but the concept that we have to do tshuva and deserve a new year, the Yesodis, we could start filling up a list of so many mitzvahs that if we would be people that are more conscious of our nefesh and what's emes, we would get to these mitzvahs of the concept from the inside, not from the outside. B'chlal, Shabbos. Many of the Yesodis of Shabbos, we would chap the concept, and the Rebbeinu wants that to happen to us. The Rebbeinu wants that to happen to us. The more a person connects to a certain mitzvah, they enjoy the mitzvah. They connect to the mitzvah, and they have chedushim in the mitzvah. We see in today's generation, when it comes to chesed, there's a lot of chedushim. Mamish. Fascinating chidushim, how to give chesed that were b'chlal not around in the previous generations, b'chlal not. For example, being that today's generation is much more aware of psychological needs, of emotional needs and stableness, we're more aware. Anxiety and OC, we're more aware. So when a person goes through a crisis, people have the knowledge and the feeling to try to help them, not only in a technical way, to be supportive in a deep nakuda. How did that come? It's an outcome of many people that are connected to the chesed and have that feeling, hey, there's already an organization for this, there's already an organization for that, but there's no organization that takes care of the siblings. And many times in Bika Cholim, there's understanding, he doesn't need this, the Cholim would much more appreciate that. Pshat is because when you connect to a mitzvah, you get the feeling, the emes, what's needed here, how it's supposed to be done, and what's the tachas, and then you come up with it and you just do it. You're talking about thousands and thousands of Yidden in different ways, in different colors, how they serve Hashem with intuition of what's the right thing. Look what happened. We started with Avos HaKadoshim, and we got to such simple Pashto people in our generation, which have a taste of that. And that taste could come to a person by trying to connect to a mitzvah from the what's the yesod, what's supposed to happen. Many people, when they come into the workforce, when they're offered a job, if they have experience already, not only they're not new, they have experience, they would have a meeting with their boss, with their employer. They would want to understand not only what's their obligations and what's their they write a title of all the exact what's my job description. They also want to have the understanding how do you look at it? Where do you want us to bring the big picture? You want it to grow to what? Let me understand where you want to go with this. What's your vision? And only then I could work, not because you told me to do ABC, it's just because I chap. It's supposed to lead to something. Torah and mitzvahs is set up that it should lead to a place to change the inner person, that all these Yetzer that we have should, which are like coverings on our real, true emotions. And a person should bring out the chesed that they have within, the rachmonas that they have from within, the Kabbalah's oil, the seriousness and the achrayas to serve, to be a Eved Hashem. And Torah, Tefillah, Chesed, Sumira, together, it brings you to a place that you become a better person from the inside. And the Torah gets revealed from within the person. Wow. Psach libi b'soyer secha. And then, you know what's going to happen? Va'achrei mitzvah secha tirdev nafshi. Because what's going to happen is that I'm gonna want to do what's right. I'm going to be in the matziv that I'm also going to figure out many things, that this is mustama, what's right. This is a ikka, this is a tofel. And a person gets to it by trying to understand, what are we doing? What are we trying to do with Torah mitzvahs? And a person wants to be a truthful person. So why do I have to work with checker? Why do I have to just be yoitza? Let me connect to the Yesod and work with it and do it again and again and again. The Rambam says a person gives tzedakah. So a person can give $1,000 to one person and can give $1 to 1,000 people. So the Rambam in Pirush Mishnah is hakal lefi roiva ma'aseh. Rather give $1 to 1,000 people, because hayois that the tachas of giving tzedakah is to turn you into a better person by breaking yourself, by trying to work on your midas 1,000 times, putting your hand to your pocket. It's going to do a much better job in you. So you might not get your name on the building for giving for 1,000 people $1, but you'll put the name to yourself. You're going to be able to start shining. And in today's generation, it's very, very important, because sometimes it's sad. We could see people that officially are supposed to be, good people, being Mekayim Torah mitzvahs and overall. But then, certain behavior patterns show that, what are they trying to do? And people could ask, what's wrong? What's wrong with throwing a party for $50,000 stock? What's wrong? I have the money. Not so sure, but I have the money. I want to have a good time with my friends. I got the best hechsher. Problem is that it usually shows that the person is not b'chlal knowing what they're trying Torah mitzvahs should do to them. The Gra says that the whole Torah mitzvah is to teach a person bitachon. It means that a person wants to get to that place that they can't stand koichi voitzim yadi of themselves. They feel it's so wrong. They feel it's very, very wrong. When a person hears, you could have a person today, the funny minig of the Bitachon getting up by mitzvah tanz and praising dvorim shaloi hoyu mei oilam, saying about a person, he's the biggest masmer, he's the biggest baltzdoka, he never gets upset. Fascinating. And he's paying the Bitachon, and he's sitting there listening. A person is supposed to, they should give a little can to throw up next to every person sitting there. How could you possibly enjoy this moment? A person should so badly not want to be in such a place. This is sheker. This is sheker. That means, and the Zelbazach is a person showing off. A person is supposed to get to a place that from the inside, they don't want to. They feel it's something is wrong with this. Not only because maybe someone's going to be jealous, it's going to be ayin hora. No, that's kita aleph. Many people need to get there also, but they feel that this is wrong. And if this is wrong, I don't want to be such a type of a person. Tzibistlach, what happens is that the person finds themselves that they start understanding the next step. Because every time a person invests in that sensitivity, building that sensitivity of what's wrong or what's right, and practicing it, they figure out parts of Torah. Because every mitzvah, deep down, is rooted in a right mahalach of thinking. Every mitzvah. There's so many easy ones of thanking the Baruch Shalom. A person could say Birchas HaShachar or your whole life. Thanking Mata Surim, Zagiv Kukum Reikot. Then he could get to the next step of that he heard in the Sefer that if you say Amen, it's more than saying the bracha, and you are not Yotzeh. Only if someone says Amen on your bracha. So he's very makbid. Beautiful. But what's supposed to happen is that a person should get to a place that they want to, if they didn't say Birchas HaShachar, they feel stupid. They're saying it doesn't make any sense. I don't think I should be walking around using my eyesight and my garment and my clothing without saying. I want to make a note. It's like a lot of times a person is by a simcha, and they get up at the simcha or by any event, and they say, "I feel he doesn't want. I should say it, but I feel I want to bring up Akaras HaTov for this and this person. That without him we wouldn't have got here." Many times it comes from the bottom of the heart. It comes from a true place. A person wants to say every day. A person wants to learn Torah. I want to do things better. So why am I learning Hilchos Brachos? Because I don't think it makes any sense. I'm enjoying food, and I'm bemesit. The Eibush is giving me all my needs. Many times people give tzedakah because they feel that it doesn't make sense, that the Baruch Hashem doing so well, and so many people are struggling. I don't think it makes sense. I can't sit and eat while I know my neighbor is starving. And like that they get from another mitzvah, another mitzvah, another mitzvah. And then it's part of the person. Because the person from the inside is with the right midas and machshava. The way to get there is the bizach misboinen. To try to have that sensor inside when you're doing something wrong, when you're doing something right, how it's supposed to be, and not let yourself not care. It helps very much. It raises the sensitivity and brings a person into the right place. So the Eibush's help von seinen Emissar der Chiyiden.